Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to time your warrior cooldowns optimally so that you do the most DPS possible on each fight in Molten Core, BWL, and in AQ coming up soon. Optimal cooldown usage is 50% of the game to doing the most DPS as possible as a warrior, and we want to make sure that we get as much uptime on our Deathwish, Diamond Flask, and Recklessness so that we have as much time during the fight and also for the full execute phase so we get full value out of these cooldowns. Today I'm going to show you how we go about doing that optimally and the tools I use to do that. Before we get started, guys, if you don't mind, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. Not a lot of people who watch the videos are subscribed, so if you can help me get those numbers up, it would be greatly appreciated. That said, let's jump into it. Alright guys, so first let's talk about what optimal cooldown usage looks like. In any given fight, you're going to be using Diamond Flask, Deathwish, or Recklessness, and you're going to want to use those cooldowns so that you get the full duration of their buff. So Diamond Flask is a minute buff giving you a certain amount of strength for 60 seconds. So you want to pop that when there's 60 seconds left in the fight, so that you're getting all of the cooldown usage before execute phase and then the full duration of execute phase as well. So so ideally the Diamond Flask cooldown is ending when the boss dies. So you're getting all of the usage without execute phase, all of the usage during execute phase, so you're buffing your damage as much as possible. Same with Deathwish as a 30-second cooldown, and same with Recklessness as well on the fights that you're going to pop wreck, making sure that you use the last 15 seconds of the fight to pop wreck so that you're getting the most damage possible. A lot of beginning warriors will simply wait until execute phase, then pop Deathwish, then pop their cooldowns, or not just pop them randomly, just kind of use them when they feel like it. There's a science to popping cooldowns at the right time, and I'm going to go over that science now. There's a few different ways you can use to time your cooldowns optimally. The first is an add-on called Time to Die. It's a weak aura that I will link below, and this estimates the time for each boss, how much time there's left for mobs, and you can use that time to use your cooldown. So when the weak aura estimates that there's a 60 seconds left in the fight, pop Diamond Flask. When there's 30 seconds left in the fight, pop Deathwish. That weak aura will be linked below, and this will give you a nice rough estimate of when to use your cooldowns. This weak aura is not perfect. It's a rough guide as to when the fight will end. Sometimes you will have spikes in DPS each week, and it will not time them perfectly. It doesn't do the best job of calculating for execute phase DPS, so a lot of the times you'll find that the add-on will estimate that there's 40 seconds left when there's really only 20 seconds left, and that can really greatly throw off your cooldown usage. It's not a perfect weak aura. It's, I guess, not lazy, but the person who has a budget of time to not do what I'm about to show you. It's a good thing to have, or at least have in the background in case you can't go and do the calculations that I'm going to show you today. So that out of the way, that's probably the second best way to time your cooldowns, better than just feeling things out in the fight. The best way I'm going to show you now. So it's time for a little arts and crafts, guys. This is the Bob Ross Warrior DPS guide. Now, you don't have to do what I'm about to show you, but this is personally what I do. I use one blank note card and one pen and Warcraft logs, and with those three things I am able to do my rotation and my cooldowns optimally, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. Okay guys, so first you're going to need to find the latest round of logs for the instance you're looking to time your cooldowns for. Today we're going to be using my last Molten Core run as the example, but this is you can replicate this for BWL, ZG if you want, AQ, whatever it is. We're going to focus on Molten Core today, but just know that this is the process for every single boss fight that you want to figure out what are the optimal cooldown times for. So let's go into, I think, a great fight just to showcase how this is done is Magmadar, single target, tank and spank, DPS, flex as hard as you can. Let's go ahead and look at Magmadar. Let's figure out when to use our cooldowns optimally. So one thing you do is once you're into the Magmadar list, you click through, you see here's the summary, who did the most DPS, who did the most healing, and you go into replay. Now what replay is a sort of replay of the fight, showing what happened, where people went. We don't care about all of that. We want to look down here. Down here we have the fight length. We see that it took my guild 1:19 to kill Magmadar, and we know now we can figure out when to use our cooldowns. But before that, we need to make our note card. Now, guys, just a quick thing on the note card. This is just how I do it. I only have one monitor, so a note card that I could look at very quickly is what works best for me. If you have two monitors, maybe an Excel document is going to be better for you. Just know that this is very similar. This is easy to put it on an Excel sheet as it is to write on a note card. You don't need to be doing formulas. It's just putting numbers in certain places. I'll show you right now. So let's make our note card. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to make two lines to sort of designate our areas of where we're going to write things, like so. One at the top of the card, and then one on down the left side, like so. We've kind of got a crisscrossy pattern here. In the top corner, we're going to put the word boss. This is going to designate our boss column. And we're going to make two more vertical lines down through the card. And in the cells at the top of the card, we're going to be writing our cooldown names. So we have Diamond Flask, Deathwish, and Wreck. So now if you'll see at the top of the card, we have our boss column, our Diamond Flask column, our Deathwish column, and our Recklessness column. Now it's time to make columns for the specific boss fights. In Molten Core, there are around 10 to 11 boss fights. So we're going to need to make that many amount of columns so we can find our cooldowns for them. So now here on our boss column, we have all of the different bosses in Molten Core down here on the card. We have a space to write when we need to use Diamond Flask on something like Magmadar, when we need to use Deathwish, and when we need to use Recklessness. So now we're going to go into Warcraft logs and figure out the values that we need to put within our note card so that we know when to pop our cooldowns optimally. Let's try out Magmadar to start. So going into Warcraft logs here, we see that there are our kill time took 1 minute and 19 seconds. And if we drag our mouse to when there's 19 seconds in the fight, so we know that there is 1 minute left in the fight here. So this is right when there's 60 seconds left. Magmadar is at 83%. So that means that if we wanted to get optimal cooldown usage of Diamond Flask, we'd be popping at 83% and we would get the full 60 seconds and it would be ending exactly when the boss died. That is optimal cooldown usage. So we're going to get ahead and put 83 for our number in Magmadar. See here, we put an 83 under the Diamond Flask column. This is kind of reversed because I'm holding it in front of my camera, but you guys see what I'm doing here. And now we know for Magmadar and Diamond Flask, we use that at 83%, and that's optimal usage. Let's figure out when we use Deathwish. So 30 seconds left in the fight. That's at 49 seconds into the fight. We see that we Deathwish at 46%, which is actually kind of high. Most people, I think, wait until they're very close to execute phase when they're just sort of field crafting this. But now we know through the data that there's 30 seconds left in the fight at 46% on the boss's health. So we can get a lot more damage out popping Deathwish earlier while still knowing we'll have it for the full execute phase. So we'll go ahead and put a 46 down. So now we have on our note card 83% for Diamond Flask, 46% for Deathwish. And now we just need to figure out when we're going to use Recklessness. So we go in here, we find out when there's exactly 15 seconds left in the fight. Recklessness is a 15-second big D cooldown. Magmadar's at 25% when there's 15 seconds left in the fight. So we're going ahead and put a 25% on here. And now we have all of the cooldowns denoted clearly on our card for Magmadar. So as we approach Magmadar, we would be popping Diamond Flask at 83%, Deathwish at 46%, and using Recklessness at 25%. Look at another fight real quick. Let's look at something like Shazra. So when we want to go find the next fight, ideally, I'm not going to do this on the video, but what you would do maybe once or twice a month to refresh these, because your kill times will get quicker as you add new members, people do more DPS and get more items. You're going to need to refresh these at least twice a month. Once a month at the least, and every week at the most. But I do about once or twice a month, depending on how many changes we've had in the guild, and I've found that this allows me to do the most DPS possible. Let's look at Shazra. When you want to find the next fight, you just click back to your report overview. You go to the next boss fight. We're going to look at Shazra. And once again, you go to replay. So on replay, we see that this was a 37-second long boss fight. 37 seconds, that tells me that we're going to be using Diamond Flask before even the boss fight starts. So I'm going to put a 100 on that value. Easy to figure out when we need to use our Deathwish, because 37 seconds, 7 seconds in, there's 30 seconds left. 92%, guys. We're going to use Deathwish at 92%. That is high. That's a high value comparatively to what most people who are just field crafting their cooldown usage would use it at. A lot of people wait until they're very close to the execute phase to remember to pop their big cooldowns. When you know that you can use something like Deathwish at 92% and have it up for that long, that's a lot of extra damage, guys. That's really going to elevate you compared to other DPS you have in your group. So now let's use for Rec. We're going for a parse on this. That's 22 seconds left in the fight, and we're going to be wrecking at 50%, guys. 50% is when we use Rec. That is like I mean, for a lot of fights, for a lot of traditional players, don't necessarily know that they have that much time left in the fight. When you go through and do this sort of homework and find out that you can be doing these cooldowns this early, you're going to see your damage shoot up very high, guys. This is one of the best things you can do for your DPS, is pre-planning these types of things and using your cooldowns at the right time. It's half the battle for doing more DPS. So now I'm just checking our card again. At Shazra, we're using Diamond Flask at 100%, Deathwish at 92%, and Wrecking at 50%. What you would do then is, for the rest of the fights, you'd go in and fill them all out. This is one of my old cards. You'd end up with something looking like this, to where all of your values are filled out. You don't have to find the Recklessness value for each fight, because you're going to know 30-minute cooldown on Rec. Not going to have it up for your fight. Pre-plan which fights you want to use Rec on. Maybe these are the fights you're still trying to get orange parses on. Maybe it's just you're having a race that week, whatever it is, and look up those specific fights. You really only need to do it for 2 to 3 fights, depending on how quickly you move through Molten Core or BWL. So just know that you don't need to do it for all of them. But yeah, you end up with a card with really everything. You do the same thing for BWL. I actually have, you know, my main card right now. We've got BWL on the back, and we've got MC on the front. This is something that I don't have 2 monitors, so I just simply put it next to my computer. I prop it up right there, and I can easily look between that and in real time during the boss fight, because sometimes, you know, you're having fun. We raid on Friday nights. Maybe I'm sipping a White Claw or 2 during the fight, and you know, you're just not all there. You will not. You need to make this card. You need to either make a card, make an Excel sheet, whatever works best for you. But you do need to go through and do this homework, because you will not remember for 10 boss fights the specific percentages that you need to do when everything's in motion. Maybe you will, and if you are, then great. You're on a whole nother level of existence. But for us normies out there, you're going to want to have these numbers written down or typed into a spreadsheet to be able to reference them in real time during the fight. I personally find that a note card works great for me. Figure out what works for you, but you can use the same type of methodology to figure out when to best use your cooldowns. One thing to consider is that as you kill multi-target bosses faster and faster, something like Lucifron, something like Major Domo in Molten Core, Gahanas, you're going to find that you'll actually do more damage popping Deathwish, Rec, Diamond Flask at the start of those fights, not worrying about trying to get into the execute phase on the boss target, because you're going to do so much more damage when you're cleaving onto those ads, using cleave, using whirlwind, with all of those cooldowns popped, than you would from just the pure execute phase. However, it can still be close. But for most fights, especially most fights in BWL, you're best suited using your cooldowns when the boss hits those percentages. It's very simple, black and white, when you need to do these things. I'm going to link in the description a add-on that will, it's called Simple Health Percentage. It will put the boss's health percentage or your target's health percentage where you want it to go on the screen. I drag mine simply to the player health percentage target, and it's an easy way to go ahead and know when a boss is at a certain health percentage. And then it's as easy as knowing, hey, I Diamond Flask at 100%, I Deathwish at 50%, use them at the right time, watch your damage go way up. So yeah, guys, that's it for today. I just wanted to make a quick video to show you how to do this. This is one of the best things you can do as a Fury Warrior to do more DPS. A warrior who is using their cooldowns just when they think they're supposed to do them, as opposed to a warrior who does a little bit of homework ahead of time to know when exactly to use them. The warrior that does the homework will do much more damage than the one that doesn't. As you do this 1 week, you'll watch your damage go up by 20 to 30% doing something like this, because your cooldown usage is half the battle in classic WoWs to doing the most damage as a warrior. Of course, you want to have the world buffs and consumables. Of course, you want to be doing the right rotation. But the third and most integral part of all of this is using CDs at the right time to do the most damage, and making sure that you have your CDs up for the fights that you want to do more damage on. That said, guys, I want to thank everyone for watching this video. I hope this was helpful to everyone, as this is a big part of being a great warrior. Please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell if you enjoy my content. I really do love making these videos for you guys, and that helps me know and keep the channel growing and keep me motivated to keep on keeping on. That said, everyone, thanks for coming in. I hope I'll be back soon with another video, and you guys have a great rest of the day. Peace.